Have you ever wished learning could be, like, completely personalized? You know?
Like having a teacher who knows exactly how you learn best.
Exactly. That's what we're going to explore today.
AI assistants in education, how they can make that kind of personalized learning a reality.
We're doing a deep dive all about building and using these AI tools in the classroom.
And we've got a great source, this in-depth document,
Yeah.
Desarrollo e implementación de un asistente de inteligencia artificial para la educación.
It's like the blueprint for creating a super study buddy powered by AI.
It covers all the essentials from the technology behind it to, making sure these assistants actually help students learn better.
So think of this deep dive as your shortcut to understanding the future of learning.
We're going to break down the key takeaways without getting too bogged down in technical jargon.
No confusing algorithms here, just the good stuff.
Our goal is to explore the potential of these AI assistants.
See how they could change education for both students and teachers.
Yeah, using this document as our guide.
Now, the document starts by saying you can't just create one AI for every student.
Right, it needs to be able to do different things depending on the student's level and what they're learning.
So what kind of tasks are we talking about? What could these AI assistants actually do?
Well, the document outlines a few key areas. One of the first is like an interactive virtual tutor.
Okay, so more than just giving answers.
Yeah, it's about explaining things in a way that makes sense to you specifically.
So if I'm stuck on a concept, it could, break it down?
Exactly. Give you simpler examples related to something you already know.
That would be so helpful. Sometimes I get lost in those long explanations.
Right. And then there's the potential for generating educational content.
Like automatically.
Uh-huh. Imagine creating quizzes on the fly based on specific topics or getting summaries of, long articles.
Wow, that would save teachers so much time.
Definitely. And for students, think about a text corrector that's really smart.
Not just catching typos.
No. It could analyze your grammar, the style of your writing, even in essays and research papers.
Could give you feedback on how to improve.
Yeah. And it doesn't stop there. There's also problem-solving support.
Okay, for subjects like
math, science, languages.
So instead of just spitting out the answer, it would walk me through it.
Yeah, helping you understand the steps, the logic behind it.
Oh, that would have been a lifesaver in algebra.
I know, right? And to keep track of all that, there's the learning memory feature.
Like a progress tracker.
Exactly. The AI keeps tabs on what you're good at, what you struggle with.
So it can personalize things even more.
Right. And building on that, you could have automated tests and quizzes.
With instant feedback.
Mm-hmm. That immediate feedback is so valuable for learning. And finally, the document talks about simulations and interactive learning.
Okay, this is where it gets really futuristic.
I know. It could create these immersive scenarios using AI models.
So I could be, virtually dissecting a frog.
Exactly. Or participating in a historical debate. It's a whole new level of engagement.
It really opens up the possibilities. Now, all this sounds incredible, but how do you actually build this kind of AI?
Well, the document gets into the nitty-gritty of the technology. It suggests using these powerful existing AI models, like ChatGPT from OpenAI or Google Gemini.
So we're already starting with some impressive AI brains.
Yeah, these models are really good at understanding and generating human-like text.
What else is important?
They highlight this tool called LangChain. Think of it like the AI's connection to all sorts of information.
So it can access different documents like my notes or online articles?
Exactly, like a super librarian that helps the AI find the right info. And of course, there's natural language processing, or NLP.
That's how the AI actually understands what we're saying, right?
Yeah, it's essential for interpreting questions and formulating clear answers.
Makes sense. And what about accessing more specific educational resources?
Oh, that's where APIs come in. The document mentions Wolfram Alpha, which is great for math and science.
So it could, solve equations for me?
Instantly. And it also talks about the Khan Academy API, which has a ton of structured learning content.
Oh, I love Khan Academy. Videos, exercises, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so the AI could pull from those trusted sources.
So it's not just searching the entire internet randomly.
Right. It has access to these curated educational materials. And then they talk about intelligent databases.
To store information.
Yeah, like frequently asked questions or to keep track of your interactions.
So it remembers what I've asked before.
Uh-huh. And finally, there are automated learning systems which can personalize the pace and difficulty of learning.
So if I'm breezing through, it'll give me harder stuff.
Exactly. Or if you're struggling, it'll slow down and provide more support.
Now, we've got the AI, the language processing, the information. How does it all work when I ask a question?
It's a pretty logical flow. First,
Yeah.
the assistant captures your question, whether you type it or say it.
Okay, so either way works.
Then, those NLP models we talked about, they analyze your question, figure out what you're really asking.
So it's not just looking for keywords.
No, it's trying to understand the meaning behind your words.
That's pretty sophisticated.
It is. And once it gets your question, it starts looking for relevant info.
Checking those databases, searching the APIs.
Like having a team of researchers at your beck and call.
That's a great way to put it. And
And
then,
then it generates a response, an explanation that's tailored to you.
based on my level of understanding.
Exactly. It might include examples or extra materials to help you grasp the concept.
Makes sense. And does it just stop there?
Nope. The last step is feedback. The AI learns from your interactions, so it can constantly get better.
So it's a continuous learning process, even for the AI.
Exactly. Now, one of the most exciting things about this is personalization. How do these assistants cater to each student's unique needs?
Yeah, that's what we were talking about at the beginning.
Right. So, as we mentioned, using databases to store your question history is key.
So it remembers our conversations,
Uh-huh. And it can also access specific learning materials.
like my textbook.
Yeah, or your class notes. That way, its explanations are grounded in what you're actually studying.
That's a huge plus.
And then there's the whole adaptive learning thing.
Adjusting the difficulty based on my progress.
Exactly. It keeps you challenged, but not overwhelmed.
And to make things even more personalized, they talk about behavior analysis.
Figuring out how you learn best. Do you prefer visuals? Step-by-step instructions.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so it can suggest learning strategies that work for you.
So it's like super customized learning. Oh, okay, now I want to try this out. How would I actually interact with one of these assistants?
The document envisions a bunch of different interfaces. You could have chatbots integrated into messaging apps.
So I could just text my AI tutor.
Yeah. Or you could use dedicated web applications, specifically designed for learning.
Easy to access.
And they also talk about integrating it into learning management systems.
Like Moodle or Google Classroom.
That way it's all in one place. And for a more natural interaction, they mention voice assistants.
So I could just talk to it.
Yeah, ask questions out loud and it would respond. And then for a truly immersive experience, they talk about AR and VR.
Whoa, virtual reality learning.
Imagine learning history by actually walking through a historical event.
That's amazing. Okay, so we've covered how it works, how it personalizes things, how to access it. But how do these assistants keep improving?
The document emphasizes continuous improvement. One way is by tracking frequently asked questions.
If a lot of people are asking the same thing, it probably needs a better explanation.
Exactly. And user feedback is huge. Getting input from both students and teachers helps refine the AI's responses.
Makes sense. And they talk about training the AI with specific data sets.
Yeah, to make sure it's really knowledgeable in different subjects.
So it's not just a general AI. It understands the nuances of each subject,
Right. And then there's evaluating the actual learning impact
seeing if it's really making a difference.
through student performance data, surveys, that kind of thing,
So it's a constant process of learning and refining.
for both the student and the AI assistant.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the development and implementation of these AI assistants,
What are the key takeaways? What stands out to you?
I think the biggest takeaway is that these AI assistants could truly revolutionize education.
By making knowledge more accessible and by personalizing the learning experience.
The future of learning tailored to each individual.
And the document concludes that by combining all these technologies, the language models, the databases, the interactive platforms,
We can create a learning experience that's autonomous, accessible, and tailored to each student's needs.
and with continuous learning and improvement, these AI assistants have the potential to be truly transformative.
So it really makes you wonder, how will these AI tools change the roles of students and teachers?
What new possibilities for learning and teaching will emerge?
What do you think the classroom of the future will look like? It's a question worth pondering and exploring further.
We've only scratched the surface here today.
It's an exciting time to be involved in education, that's for sure.
Absolutely. The possibilities are endless.